Morning, everyone. Paul Rupel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope your Tuesday's off to a fantastic start. Certainly better weather-wise for the commute in this morning. No snow to report, although we are dealing with very cold temperatures, so we'll get to weather in just a little bit. In the meantime, let's start with some national news. The White House may be rocked back on its heels this morning. The Democrats have announced the full scope of their investigations into President Trump, and the list is staggering. Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader has some of the details this morning from Washington, D.C.
11 now, Democrats have announced the full scope of their investigations, and that's an S on the end of that word, into President Trump and his administration.
And so Doug Luzader has the details on those investigations. Doug?
Good morning. Well, yeah, White House officials are getting a better idea of what they're going to be dealing with in the months and probably years ahead here as Democrats lay the groundwork for 2020 and a possible impeachment.
Facing a deluge of Democratic investigations now, President Trump sounds affable enough.
I cooperate all the time with everybody. And you know the beautiful thing? No collusion. It's all a hoax.
But it's no hoax what's happening on Capitol Hill. Democrats, led by House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler, are carpet bombing the White House with document requests, seeking information on dozens and dozens of White House officials, presidential advisors, and Trump family members. In fact, the faces you see here represent less than a third of those being targeted. But most Democrats are careful to avoid going too far talking about impeaching the president.
We need to act effectively to end the corruption and the lawlessness. But if it leads to impeachment because there is evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors that actually undermine the fabric of our constitutional democracy, then so be it.
Some others, though, are not waiting for the investigation. California's Maxine Waters tweeted, "Now is the time to demonstrate your patriotism. Support impeachment." Republicans call this overreach, accusing Democrats of preparing for the possibility that Special Counsel Robert Mueller will find no evidence of collusion with Russia.
I'm just saying some of them are doing this for purely political reasons, and if they think the American people are fooled, they're really underestimating the American people.
Now, Democrats are not wasting much time here. They want a lot of these documents in less than 2 weeks. The White House is really going to fight them on this. And bear in mind, we're talking about one committee here, the House Judiciary Committee. There are at least 3 other House committees that are also going to be carrying out pretty expansive investigations into the White House. So it's going to be a full-time job for several folks at the White House just keeping up with all these requests.
You know what I call that? Job security for Doug Luzader. We need him in D.C.
For all of us.
For sure. All right, Doug, see you tomorrow.
That was Fox's Doug Luzader reporting on the latest in terms of the Democratic investigations. Let's listen in for a couple minutes to this hearing. I believe this is, let me double check this as I'm speaking. I'll put it on screen so you can see it. Following an alarming measles outbreak affecting children and families in southwest Washington, Washington State Secretary of Health Weissman is testifying during a Senate hearing on vaccinations led by Senator Murray. I believe that's Senator Alexander there speaking right now. Let's listen in for a couple minutes to this hearing and see what they have to say about the vaccination issue in light of the measles outbreak in Washington.
Eliminated in 2000. And even though 91% of Americans had been vaccinated for measles in 2017, according to the CDC, we continue to see outbreaks of this preventable disease because there are pockets in the United States that have low vaccination rates. Last year, there were 372 cases of measles, the second highest number since 2000. So far this year, there have been 159 cases reported and outbreaks confirmed in Washington State, New York, Texas, and Illinois. We know some Americans are hesitant about vaccines. So today I want to stress the importance of vaccines. Not only has the Food and Drug Administration found them to be safe, but vaccines save lives. Vaccines have been so successful that until recently, Americans have lived without fear of getting measles, polio, or rubella. We've made significant strides in improving vaccination rates. In 2009, about 44% of Americans had received vaccines for 7 preventable diseases, all of which I'll now try to pronounce: diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, measles, mumps, and rubella, Haemophilus, influenza type B, hepatitis B, chickenpox, and pneumococcal, according to the CDC. Today, over 70% of Americans are vaccinated against all 7 of these diseases. Vaccines protect not only those who've been vaccinated, but the larger community. This is called herd immunity. There are some young people who cannot be vaccinated. They're too young, or they have a weak immune system because of a genetic disorder, or they're taking medicine that compromises their immune system, like cancer treatment. Vaccines protect those who cannot be vaccinated by preventing the spread of disease. However, low immunization rates can destroy a community's herd immunity. While the overall vaccination rate nationwide is high enough to create this herd immunity, certain areas, the pockets of the country where vaccination rates are low, are vulnerable to outbreaks. There's a lot of misleading and incorrect information about vaccines that circulates online throughout social media. Here's what I'd like for parents in Tennessee to know, parents in Washington, parents in Texas, everywhere in the country. Vaccines are approved by the Food and Drug Administration. They meet the Food and Drug Administration's gold standard of safety. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices makes recommendations on the use of vaccines in our country and annual child and adult vaccine schedules. This advisory committee is made up of medical doctors and public health professionals from medical schools, hospitals, and professional medical organizations from around the country. They're among the best our country has to offer. They have dedicated their lives to helping others. These recommendations are reviewed and approved by the CDC director and are available on the CDC website. There's nothing secret about any of this science, and countless studies have shown that vaccines are safe. Internet fraudsters who claim that vaccines are not safe are preying on the unfounded fears and daily struggles of parents, and they're creating a public health hazard that is entirely preventable. It's important for those who have questions about vaccines, especially parents, to speak with a reputable health provider. As with many topics, just because you found it on the internet doesn't mean that it's true. The science is sound. Vaccines save lives, the lives of those who receive vaccines, and the lives of those who are too young or vulnerable to be immunized. Before I turn this over to Senator Murray, I want to add that the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986 required the Department of Health and Human Services to submit a report to Congress within 2 years after the legislation was signed into law. The HELP Committee has received 2 reports from the department submitted to Congress May 4, 1988 and July 21, 1989. I ask consent that the reports be submitted to the committee record so they can be more accessible to the public. Senator Murray.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As Washington State and several other states grapple with measles outbreaks, this issue could not be more timely. I remember in 2000 when measles was officially eliminated from the United States, and what welcome news that was for families across this country. And I remember the years of efforts that actually led to that victory. Before the vaccine was available, measles outbreaks used to spread through communities like wildfire. If you were old enough to drive, odds were you'd already had measles. But today, vaccines that protect against measles have been in use for over 50 years. Like other vaccines, we know the vaccine is safe, it's effective, and it saves lives. Which is why today a generation of students are starting college, almost none of whom had to worry about a measles outbreak at school. It also means a generation of new parents may not appreciate just how dangerous measles is. Before introduction of the measles vaccine and widespread vaccination, millions of people caught measles annually, meaning thousands were hospitalized, hundreds of people died, mostly children under 5 years old. But measles isn't just deadly. It's also one of the world's most contagious diseases. It is easily transmitted through coughing and sneezing. It can linger in the air and on infected surfaces for 2 hours. It is already contagious 4 days before an infected person develops a rash, and then another 4 days after. 9 out of 10 unvaccinated people exposed to measles catch it. That's why the measles vaccine is so important in providing protection. Experts say in order to establish herd immunity against measles, in order to prevent an outbreak from occurring within a community, at least 95% of people should be vaccinated. Meeting that threshold is crucial to protect people who are unable to get vaccinated, infants, those with certain medical conditions. Unfortunately, while the national vaccination rate remains high, in communities across the country, we are falling behind. Vaccine coverage rates are declining in certain areas, contributing to the rise in preventable outbreaks, like in Clark County, Washington, where public health officials continue to respond to a measles outbreak. The immunization rate among children in that community is less than 70%, far below what is needed to keep families safe. The result is a true public health emergency, over 70 confirmed cases and counting, and the majority of cases have affected children under 10 years old who are unvaccinated. Each case isn't just a concern for family members who are worried about their loved ones who are seriously sick. It is a threat to neighbors and communities left struggling to get an incredibly contagious disease under control. It's a terror for parents with newborns who cannot yet get vaccinated, and a strain on our public health system as hundreds of staff in Washington State are pulled from critical public health roles to respond to this crisis. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention stretches to support the response to outbreaks in Washington and several other states. Measles isn't the only disease that deserves our attention amid slipping vaccination rates. Diseases like the chairman mentioned, mumps, pertussis, or whooping cough are also cause for concern. These outbreaks are a clear sign we've had to do more to address vaccine hesitancy and make sure parents have the facts they need to understand the science. Vaccines are safe and effective and life-saving. Parents across the country want to do what is best for their families to keep them safe, which is why they need to be armed with knowledge about the importance of vaccination, and why we need research into vaccine communication tools and strategies to help us better educate people to address vaccine hesitancy and build vaccine confidence. We also need to understand the roles social media and online misinformation play in spreading dangerous rumors and falsehoods. And we need to better prepare the full spectrum of healthcare providers, who are often the professionals people trust most, to counter vaccine hesitancy and promote vaccination. That's important not only for parents, but also for expectant parents who may already be deciding whether or not they plan to vaccinate, and for promoting adult vaccines and encouraging people to protect themselves and others throughout their lives. I look forward today to hearing from Dr. Weissman about how Washington State is working now to get parents reliable information about the importance of vaccination, and from all of our witnesses who are here today about how the federal government and other partners can promote vaccines and prevent the spread of misinformation. And while we are now fighting multiple measles outbreaks, it's important we also educate people on the HPV vaccine's role in preventing sexually transmitted diseases and lowering cancer risks, the flu vaccine, particularly on the heels of one of the most deadly flu seasons in years, the whooping cough vaccine, especially for those around infants who are particularly susceptible to the disease, and the value of other recommended vaccines. We also need to make sure we are approaching the public health challenges like this from a global perspective, because we know diseases are not stopped by borders or walls or bans. They are stopped by doctors and nurses and vaccines and public health awareness. And they're stopped by strong investments in public health systems here at home and abroad. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's certainly the case here. A dose of MMR vaccine covering measles, mumps, and rubella is about $20. Meanwhile, Washington State has spent over $1 million already addressing the current measles outbreak. Investing in prevention isn't just more effective at keeping our families and communities healthy, it is more affordable as well. The Vaccines for Children program is another great example of this. Over 25 years now, it has helped kids in low-income families get shots at no cost. It has saved $1.6 trillion, prevented 380 million illnesses, and saved 860,000 lives. That's more people than live in Seattle. So I hope we can work together in a bipartisan way to build on programs like this with strong steps to help address public health crises and, better yet, to prevent them from happening in the first place. And I'm glad to have this opportunity to learn more about how we can do that and to consider how to make sure people across the country understand that vaccines are safe and effective to keep their families and their community healthy. And, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that a letter from the National Association of County and City Health Officials be submitted for the record. It speaks to the important role of our local health departments across the country in responding to vaccine-preventable disease outbreaks and other emergency health threats.
So ordered. Thank you, Senator Murray. We'll now introduce our witnesses. Each one of you will have up to 5 minutes for questions and answers. I'll ask the senators, let's try to keep the questions and answers within the 5-minute period of time so everyone can have a chance to participate. Senator Murray will introduce the first witness.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Chairman. From my home state of Washington, I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. John Weisman. Dr. Weisman was appointed as Washington State Secretary of Health back in 2013, and his service there is just the latest in a 22-year career working to keep our families and communities healthy. Throughout his career, he's worked at 4 different health departments, including Clark County Public Health in Vancouver, which is the current front line of our measles outbreak in our state. And Dr. Weisman, I know some of my colleagues on the committee will appreciate learning that before you came to my state to work in our public health system, you got your education in theirs, receiving your bachelor's degree in Wisconsin, your master's in Connecticut, and your PhD in North Carolina. I'm glad we have you now in Washington State working to help keep our families safe and healthy and respond to public health threats as we currently are. And I appreciate so much you coming out all the way out here from our other Washington.
Thank you, Senator Murray. Senator Isaacson, will you introduce our second witness?
Thank you very much, Chairman Alexander. I'm very pleased to introduce to the committee and everyone here today Dr. Saad Omer, and I believe that's the right pronunciation. Close enough. Good. Well, mine's Isaacson, so I just want to make sure we got it right. We're very delighted to have him here today as an expert on the subject we're discussing. Dr. Omer is William H. Fogge Professor of Global Health and Professor of Epidemiology and Pediatrics at Emory University, School of Public Health and Medicine. Dr. Omer also works in the Emory Vaccine Center, making him a well-qualified witness for today's hearing. His research includes studies in the United States and internationally, including clinical and field trials to estimate the efficacy of influenza, polio, measles, and other vaccinations. Dr. Omer has published approximately 250 papers in peer-reviewed journals and has served on several respected advisory committees and panels, including the U.S. National Vaccine Advisory Committee. He has also mentored over 100 junior faculty members, clinical and research postdoctoral fellows, and PhD and other graduate students, playing an important role in ensuring that the pipeline of qualified scientists is well stocked in the United States of America. Dr. Omer, welcome to the committee today. We're here for your expertise. We appreciate your testimony, and go Emory.
Thank you, Senator Isaacson. Third, we'll hear from Dr. Jonathan McCullers. He's chair of the Department of Pediatrics at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center, serves as pediatrician-in-chief at the remarkable Le Bonheur Children's Hospital in Memphis, received his medical degree and completed his internship and residency at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. In 1999, he was named a St. Jude Scholar in the Physician Scientist Development Program and joined the St. Jude faculty in the Department of Infectious Diseases, where he spent 13 years managing a translational research lab studying influenza viruses and bacterial pneumonia. In 2012, he joined Le Bonheur. He's published more than 150 peer review articles. Fourth, John Boyle. He's president and CEO of the Immune Deficiency Foundation in Towson, Maryland, which is focused on meeting the needs of people with primary immunodeficiency disease. Prior to joining the foundation, he worked for the Children's National Medical Center and the Platelet Disorders Support Association. He received his Bachelor of Science from Boston University, a Master in Nonprofit Management from Notre Dame of Maryland University. Finally, we welcome Ethan Lindenberger. Mr. Lindenberger is currently a student at Norwalk High School in Norwalk, Ohio. He's here to share his experience seeking out information about vaccines and making decisions about whether or not to become vaccinated. Welcome again to all our witnesses. Dr. Weisman, let's begin with you.
Great. Chairman Alexander.
Dr. Wiesman, excuse me.
Very good. That's good. Chairman Alexander, Ranking Member Murray, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss public health's work in protecting people from vaccine-preventable diseases. Vaccines are safe, effective, and the best protection we have against serious preventable diseases like measles. Vaccinating children in the United States has saved millions of lives, increased expectancy, and saved our society trillions of dollars. My mission as Washington Secretary of Health is to protect and promote the health of all its people and ensure our public policy is based on best available science. I want to speak directly to the parents who have children with serious health issues and who have been attending our hearings in Washington State and are watching this hearing today. I see your pain and your desire for answers to your children's health issues. Your mission to protect and promote the health of your children is one we share. While the science is clear that vaccines do not cause autism, we do need to better understand its causes. We need to develop together, affected families, scientists, and public health officials, research agendas to get the answers we need. State, territorial, and tribal local public health agencies are on the front lines. In Washington State, we provide all recommended vaccines without charge to all children under the age of 19. We provide an electronic immunization information system for healthcare providers to track vaccine dose schedules, provide reminders when patients are overdue, and measure immunization rates. We help parents make informed decisions by sending them the information they need to keep children healthy and publish plain talk about childhood immunization. And we assist school nurses by giving them access to the electronic immunization records. As of yesterday, Washington State's measles outbreak had 71 cases, plus 4 cases associated with our outbreak in Oregon and 1 in Georgia. Containing a measles outbreak takes a whole community response, led by governmental public health. The moment a suspected case is reported, disease investigators interview that person to determine when they were infectious, who they were in close contact with, and what public spaces they visited. If still infectious, the health officer orders them to isolate themselves so they don't infect others, notifies the public and about the community about the public places that they were in when they were infectious, and stands up a call center to handle questions. We also reach out to individuals who were in close contact with the patient. If they are unvaccinated and without symptoms, we ask them to quarantine themselves for up to 21 days. That's how long it can take to develop symptoms. And we monitor them so that we quickly know if they develop measles. If they show symptoms, we get them to a healthcare provider and obtain samples to test for measles. And if they have measles, we start the investigation process all over again. This is a staff and time-intensive activity and is highly disruptive to people's lives. Responding to this preventable outbreak has cost over $1 million and required the work of more than 200 individuals. So what do we need from the federal government? First, we need sustained, predictable, and increased federal funding. Congress must prioritize public health and support the Prevention and Public Health Fund. We are constantly reacting to crises rather than working to prevent them. The Association of State and Territorial Health Officials and over 80 organizations are asking you to raise the CDC budget by 22% by FY22. This will immediately bolster prevention services, save lives, and reduce healthcare costs. Second, our response to this outbreak has been benefited greatly from the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness Act, so thank you. The Public Health Emergency Preparedness Cooperative Agreement and the hospital preparedness programs authorized by this law are currently funded $400 million below funding levels in the 2000s. More robust funding is needed, and I strongly urge you to quickly reauthorize POPRA because many of the authorizations expired last year. Third, the 317 immunization program has been flat funded for 10 years. Without increased funding, we cannot afford to develop new ways to reach parents with immunization information, nor maintain our electronic immunization systems. Fourth, we need federal leadership for a national vaccine campaign spearheaded by CDC in partnership with states that counter the anti-vaccine messages, similar to the successful Truth Tobacco Prevention campaign. We have lost much ground. Urgent action is necessary. Everyone has a right to live in a community free of vaccine-preventable diseases. To make this a reality, we must continue to invest in and strengthen our public health system. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wiesman. Dr. Omer.
Thanks for the opportunity for me to talk about vaccines in this forum. Elimination of endemic measles transmission from the U.S. in 2000 is a significant public health success. Since then, most of the cases have occurred through U.S. travelers going outside and bringing it back. While recent measles outbreaks have been contained, the frequency and size of these outbreaks have been particularly alarming for those of us who follow these trends. The rest of this testimony will be focused on answering some of the salient questions that have been coming up. So the first question is, why haven't we seen a national level outbreak in the US? And we cannot take this for granted. Countries with similar development status, like Germany, France, and Italy, specifically more recently, have had national level outbreaks. And it is not a coincidence that we haven't seen similar national outbreaks, and there are several reasons for it. First of all, our laws, school-level mandates work, and they work by changing the balance of convenience. In most states, they work by changing the balance of convenience for vaccination compared to non-vaccination, by having physician counseling, or by having parents go through a video that talks about vaccines and the benefits of vaccines, etc. And the third thing is, in our country, medical societies like the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Infectious Disease Society of America have been very prominent in vaccine advocacy. And it is important because it's based on the fact that physicians are the most trusted source of vaccine information. So we have talked about the role measles has played in vaccine refusal has played in these outbreaks, and I will just give a few numbers. For example, more than half of the cases since the elimination have been unvaccinated, and approximately 70% of them are unvaccinated due to vaccine refusal or non-medical exemptions. So there is a contribution of vaccine refusal in our epidemiology of measles. And vaccine mandates have been an effective tool in changing that balance of convenience that I was talking about. But that's a state-level issue. I will focus on some of the things the federal government can do. In my written testimony, I have provided a few more details on that specific issue, and I'll be happy to answer questions. So there are a few things the federal government can do. First, consider making vaccine counseling reimbursable. And I have worked on vaccine research in multiple countries and multiple states in the US. There are a lot of local factors that are specific, but there's one constant. Healthcare providers, specifically physicians, are the most trusted source of vaccine information, even amongst those who are a little bit skeptical of vaccines. So we need to use that tool more effectively. On the practical side, physicians do not have the time to properly counsel patients using evidence-based approaches. And part of the reason, not all of the reason, is the fact that this is not reimbursable. So physicians lose money on this kind of important public health education. We should, as a country, the second point is invest in high-quality vaccine acceptance and communications research. And I often say that if we don't accept half-baked vaccine development science, and we don't, FDA goes through evaluation of the science from trials and basic sciences, etc., we should not be accepting of half-baked vaccine communications and behavioral science. And we have precedent in this country. For example, NIH's cancer prevention initiatives are a gold standard in these kinds of interventions and evidence-based communication strategies. NIAIDs, the National Institute for Immunology and National Institute for Infection and Allergy, they have had very effective intervention development in the area of HIV/AIDS behavior. So we have that precedent in this country, and we need to invest in actual research. And before we develop evidence, while we develop evidence, there is an existing blueprint of interventions that the National Vaccine Advisory Committee put together. And unfortunately, not all of its interventions and its recommendations have been implemented. So that is ready to be implemented. And CDC plays this important role in fighting these fires, working with state and local health departments, which is somewhat unique in the developed world, so we need to support their mission. And we should continue to prioritize vaccine safety research and And I would want to thank you for bipartisan and consistent support for vaccines, because that matters. And that shows that there is broad societal support for vaccines. And those of us who work to protect children from these infectious diseases really appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Omer. Dr. McCullers, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Alexander, Ranking Member Murray, other members of the committee. My name is John McCullers. I'm the Chair of Pediatrics at the University of Tennessee and the Pediatrician-in-Chief at Le Bonheur Children's Hospital in Memphis. As someone who has devoted his career to the child health sphere, I truly believe there's no more precious resource than our children, and they should be protected by all means available to us. They really are the future of this nation. The childhood vaccination program in the United States has proven to be one of the most powerful public health achievements in our history. In the first half of the 20th century, there were more than 1 million infections and more than 10,000 deaths every year in this country from diseases which are now preventable by childhood vaccines. Measles alone caused more than 500,000 illnesses every year. Measles is a highly contagious viral respiratory disease characterized by fever, cough, sore throat, and a rash. It is a very dangerous disease. About 1 in 1,000 infected persons develop encephalitis, an infection of the brain. 1 in 1,000 develop severe pneumonia, and about half of those with those severe complications die. There is no specific treatment for measles, so vaccination is the only means of preventing these outcomes. With the introduction of a safe and effective vaccine for measles in 1963 and improved public health efforts to see that nearly every child received it, new cases of measles arising in the United States were entirely eliminated by the year 2000. Unfortunately, the issues of vaccine opposition and vaccine hesitancy are now impairing our ability to effectively ensure coverage, aided by state laws that make it easier to avoid vaccination. The last decade has brought numerous outbreaks to the United States, including several that are ongoing at present. These outbreaks are strongly linked to vaccine refusal, and in particular to clustering of unvaccinated individuals in specific communities or regions. This problem is not limited to the United States, however. Countries worldwide are dealing with similar outbreaks. As a single example for the committee, there were 0 cases of measles in Brazil in 2017, but more than 10,000 cases occurred on a countrywide level in 2018 when infected travelers brought measles into that country. The vaccine against measles is very safe and very effective. 1 dose provides complete protection in about 93% of individuals, while a second dose raises that level of protection to 97%. Very few side effects occur. About 1 in 10 children experience fever for 1 to 2 days after vaccination, and about 1 in 3,000 to 1 in 4,000 have a simple seizure associated with fever with no lasting effects. Allergic reactions are very rare and typically very mild. When compared to the outcomes of the disease itself, it's easy to see why doctors and public health officials universally recommend on-time and complete vaccination. Unfortunately, vaccine refusal is high and getting worse in many states. This issue is complicated by the variety of state policies regarding exemption from vaccination and the methods of counseling about vaccines. The rate of parents claiming non-medical exemptions is about 2.5 times higher in states that allow both religious and philosophical objection. Evidence seeing that multiple pathways for exemption really worsens this problem. Social media is now driving a new phenomenon somewhat distinct from vaccine opposition, termed vaccine hesitancy. When parents get much of their information about health care issues such as vaccines from the internet or from social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook, reading uninformed opinions in the absence of accurate information can lead to really understandable concern and confusion in these parents. They may be hesitant to get their children vaccinated without being provided with more information. The role of the pediatrician is very important, therefore, with these families. We must do a better job of communicating at many levels, but particularly at the point of contact at the well-child visit when vaccination should take place. About half of the time, when counseled appropriately, parents with vaccine hesitancy will agree to have their children vaccinated on time. And the other half, little seems to help at that stage, so the solution must be earlier, either in the form of policy or broader educational efforts. In closing, I'd like to thank the committee for addressing this important issue. Vaccine refusal is one of the growing public health threats of our time. If we continue to allow non-medical exemptions to vaccination, the rates of vaccine will continue to fall. More outbreaks will undoubtedly follow. As a leader at a children's hospital, I have a unique perspective on this, as children's hospitals are regional and sometimes national resources. Le Bonheur Children's Hospital sits in the corner of Tennessee next to Arkansas and Mississippi. Three states all have very different policies for granting exemptions to vaccines, which creates a tremendous problem for us and a threat to the children we serve, many of whom are too young to be vaccinated or are immunocompromised and more prone to severe diseases. I urge the committee to consider solutions that will both harmonize public health policy in this area and will also protect children as they grow up to become the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McCullers. Mr. Boyle, welcome.
Chairman Alexander, Ranking Member Murray, and members of the committee. Thank you for inviting me here to testify on the importance of herd immunity, or community immunity, as we like to say, for vaccine-preventable diseases. My name is John Boyle, and I am the President and CEO of the Immune Deficiency Foundation, a not-for-profit patient organization that represents people with primary immunodeficiency diseases, or PI. Primary immunodeficiency diseases are a group of more than 350 rare and chronic disorders in which parts of the body's immune system are either missing or functioning improperly. There's an estimated 250,000 people diagnosed with PI in the U.S. alone. That's about 1 in 1,200 of your constituents. These disorders are caused by genetic defects and are not contagious. Now, there's a variety between the different forms of PI, but one thing unites all of us. We are immunocompromised, meaning that we are potentially vulnerable to even common viruses and bacteria. Now, I have a form of PI known as X-linked agammaglobulinemia, or XLA. I was diagnosed with it when I was 6 months old, when a respiratory infection nearly killed me. In short, I don't produce antibodies, but I'm able to be here with you today because I receive weekly infusions of antibodies from other people through a blood plasma product called immunoglobulin, or IG. These infusions give me back some of what I'm missing, but I'm still susceptible to infections. Now, because I was diagnosed early and I receive IG therapy, my health is better than most others with PI. However, a simple cold can wreak havoc with me or many other members of our community. We're incredibly vulnerable to communicable illnesses. Now, for some members of our community, infections are truly a life and death matter. I think all of you probably remember David Vetter, affectionately known as the boy in the plastic bubble, who was born with severe combined immune deficiency, or SCID. Children diagnosed with SCID, XLA, or any other form of PI face multiple challenges with simple everyday pathogens. Exposing these children to something as severe as measles could be life-threatening. Parents and communities where vaccine use is being questioned are afraid to send their children outside. They're afraid because they know the history, the science, and the math, and they know the stakes. If people stop vaccinating, the safety net of community immunity will fall, and their children will be among the first casualties. Now, of course, this does not just affect children, it affects adults too. While there's now newborn screening for SCID, most members of our community go years or even decades with serious and recurrent infections without knowing that they have a compromised immune system. And I'm particularly concerned for the health of this segment of our community, the undiagnosed. If community immunity fails, they don't even know that they need to take precautions. Those of us who know that we have PI do what we can to avoid exposure to infections, but the undiagnosed lack this basic knowledge and are even more at risk. Now, the reason that all of us are so dependent on community immunity in the PI community is that vaccines do not work with most of us who have forms of PI. Our systems either don't remember the pathogens or we physically can't create the antibodies. A further complication is that there are some vaccines that are actually dangerous to us, live vaccines. As a result, those in the field of immunology have studied this issue thoroughly to produce evidence-based guidelines to best safeguard those of us with PI. An article that I've shared with the committee discusses the issues surrounding which vaccines are either indicated or not, but it also addresses the growing neglect of societal adherence to routine vaccinations, what we're here talking about today. It states how important it is for family members and then those around patients with immune deficiencies to receive all available standard immunizations in order to protect the family member who has PI. Now, in closing, let me say this. My life, along with the lives of hundreds of thousands of others who are immunocompromised, depend on community immunity. We depend on vaccines. I understand the concern that some new parents have, particularly given the misinformation on social media. But that fear can't override the facts. History has shown us that vaccines work. Science has shown us that vaccines are necessary. And mathematics has shown us that the odds of children having a healthy life are magnitudes greater if they've had their vaccines. The current decline in vaccine usage is literally bringing back plagues of the past. While those of us who are immunocompromised will suffer first and suffer more, the loss of community immunity is a threat to all of us. We need to band together to dispel the myths, combat misinformation campaigns, and help ensure that measles and other vaccine-preventable diseases are once again put in their place, in history books and not in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. Mr. Lindbergh.
All right, Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. You've been listening into a Senate hearing on vaccines and preventable diseases, preventable disease outbreaks. Some of the testimony before the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions has been focused on Washington State, where they had a large measles outbreak. Part of the reason we're talking about this at a national level and on a local level as well is we've had a local case where we've had a preventable disease outbreak that's occurred at Temple University. The number of students at Temple who have been diagnosed with the mumps has gone up. It continues to grow. Temple University Student Health Services says that there are now 7 confirmed cases of the mumps there. And the reports that there are dozens more who have mump-related symptoms. I believe we're reporting they have, what are they saying? 4 other students have been evaluated at the University Health Services offices and are presumed to have mumps. Health experts say the illness is highly contagious and causes flu-like symptoms. Those symptoms are similar to the flu, including tender, swollen glands below the ear and along the jawline, headache, fever, and cold-like symptoms. People with mumps are considered infectious from 2 days before swelling begins through 5 days after the start of swelling. Any additional students who experience symptoms or have questions are being urged to contact the Health Services Center there at studenthealth@temple.edu. That's the email address, studenthealth@temple.edu. Our Dr. Mike joined us this morning to talk about a couple health topics. We'll have this conversation about mumps up first. Here is Dr. Mike.
Okay, 7:56. Dr. Mike's back because we have 2 stories to talk about. One, Luke Perry passing away from a stroke at 52. And the other one is there's a little bit of mumps. I don't know if they call it an outbreak. About 7 people up on Temple's campus have mumps in 2019.
But they certainly don't want it to become an outbreak.
That's for sure. So how do you stop that, Dr. Mike? First of all, what are the mumps? I had it as a kid, but I thought we eradicated this.
Virus. It's simple as that. It's a virus, and it usually doesn't cause problems. It can cause swollen parotid glands. It can cause fever, flu-like illness. But what can happen is you can get complications like deafness. You can get inflammation of the testicles called orchitis, and you can get encephalitis. So it's not anything to really play around with. The key is to get immunized. And one quick thing, many times, as I do 1,000 college forms for college kids matriculating in, bottom line is a lot of them have a low level of mumps immunity, and they need a booster shot. So even if you got the measles, mumps, rubella shot, get it checked.
But it's not a requirement to go to that school.
If there's no more, there was a big study that just came out yesterday. Measles, mumps, rubella vaccination has not been shown in any way to be connected to autism in over 600,000 patients. This is a picture of a young person with mumps. So, and you see the swollen
that gland you said, we don't know what that is.
The parotid down here. It's under the jaw, and it's a salivary gland, and it gets inflamed and infected.
When I got it, huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
The other thing, Luke Perry, you were here.
That was Dr. Mike sharing some of his knowledge there about the mumps. Important topic. That's why I wanted to bring you to hearing today, where they were discussing some of the different initiatives. It's kind of amazing that in 2019, after the demonstrated results of vaccinations over the decades and the last century, for sure, that this conversation is ongoing. But you heard some of the health experts testifying to the U.S. Senate there about, as they called it, vaccine reluctance and vaccine refusal. Hesitance, I think they used the word hesitance and refusal. Another topic that Dr. Mike talked with us a little bit about this morning was a second case of someone being cured of HIV. I believe this is due to stem cell implants. Let's listen in on the conversation here, too.
All right. Here's a top headline in the world.
It's a major medical announcement. Scientists are now saying a second HIV patient has been cured. That's what some of the scientists are calling it, following a stem cell transplant. The London man's case will be presented at an upcoming HIV conference in Seattle.
So, Dr. Mike, should we be calling it a cure or a breakthrough, do you think?
Well, I think it's miraculous, and I think it's very exciting because it may open the way for cures down the road. Now, you could say a cure or in remission. HIV now, with the amazing drugs that we have, are currently controlled. What happened with this patient is very unique. He had Hodgkin's lymphoma and he had HIV. He was on medications for his HIV for years. He gets a bone marrow transplant and luckily gets bone marrow from donors that have a particular gene mutation that protects folks like that from getting HIV. He then has a revolution in his body, and that transplant cures his HIV. It gets rid of it, makes him resistant to that infection. So what's really exciting to me is that how can we do this maybe short of a bone marrow transplant to cure people of HIV so they don't have to be on medications the rest of their lives.
Now, Dr. Mike, you mentioned that his case was a unique case. Is that because the last time we've seen this was, what, 12 years ago from a man in Germany?
Right. This is a very rare gene mutation. I think it's CC5A, something like that. The bottom line is that you have to have both donors, or you need both mom and dad to contribute to this. And if you get that, then you, from science in the past, are resistant to HIV, which is fascinating and may lead to a cure someday without taking medications the rest of your life.
And maybe help with other diseases, too, the same type of technique?
Well, genes and immunotherapy is really the way that we're going. We are on the crest of a wave, my friend, that will lead to, I think, a much lower use of chemotherapy, and it is an exciting time to be alive.
Hey, thanks, Dr. Mike. We'll see you in a little bit when we talk about the mumps.
So there was Dr. Mike. That was actually earlier than the mumps segment, so they're teasing ahead to that. But he was talking about an exciting development in what some doctors are calling a cure for a second HIV patient with the assistance of a stem cell transplant. Let's get you to, we've got a couple of things, a couple live events coming up. I want to make sure we, let's get you a look at our business outlook, and then we'll set you up for a news conference at Cheyney University. In business, Chipotle is offering new plant-powered menu items, and the maker of OxyContin faces potential bankruptcy. Fox Business Network's Tracy Carrasco has more in this morning's morning business outlook.
A sell-off on Wall Street, the Dow dropping 206 points on Monday in a volatile trading day as investors continue to wait for a China-U.S. trade deal. The maker of OxyContin is preparing a possible bankruptcy filing. The Wall Street Journal reports that Purdue Pharma is studying the idea as a way to contain liability from hundreds of lawsuits alleging it fueled the nation's opioid epidemic. Some 1,600 municipalities have sued the company, saying its aggressive marketing of prescription painkillers helped hook the nation on opioids, leading to a proliferation of overdoses. Purdue has denied the allegations and says it's committed to being part of the solution to the opioid epidemic. Chipotle is expanding its new line of diet-based bowls with vegan and vegetarian options. The lifestyle bowls were added to the menu earlier this year to appeal to those following the Whole30, keto, and paleo diets. Chipotle has been struggling to win back customers after a string of illness outbreaks at restaurants a few years ago. For more, log on to foxbusiness.com. In New York, I'm Tracy Carrasco.
Thank you to Tracy for that report, updating us on some hot stories that the Fox Business Network is covering and foxbusiness.com. I want to get you this story, and then we'll go to weather until the news conference begins. Our Lauren Johnson was on this story this morning. This is about Cheyney University. The nation's first historically black college is expected to make a major announcement today. This comes after years of financial and accreditation struggles. Lauren filed this report from the campus ahead of the 11 a.m. announcement. We'll listen to her report, and then we'll get you live to the news conference when it happens around 11 a.m.
So much has gone on here, and really there's a lot on the line for this university. Later this year, they'll find out about their accreditation, but in the meantime, they're really trying to find out if they can hold on to their future here. Many steps have been taken because there is a very rich history alive here. Well, today, an event is planned for 11 a.m. to announce some major changes to the curriculum on campus. The upgrades are coming in the form of partnerships of some kind. We know they're academic related. Cheyney has faced a steep enrollment drop since 2007 and had major financial issues in recent years. So they want to hold on to their accreditation. They're going to find out later this year, I think likely in November. And without it, the university would be ineligible to receive federal financial aid, which would really hurt the student enrollment numbers here. There were some rumblings about Cheyney possibly becoming part of another higher education school. So could that be the partnership that's announced today? We don't quite know yet. We know at 11 a.m., school leaders, students, alumni, trustees, and some big business and private ventures will be here on campus at the Science Center to announce this new partnership. So maybe tomorrow morning we'll have more on exactly what this all means for the future of Cheyney.
Thank you to Lauren for that report. I can give you a quick glance at the news conference that's going to be held there at Cheyney University. We'll get you out to this in a little bit. Also keeping an eye on this news conference. It's going to be held in Lee County, Alabama, where officials are expected to talk about the deadly outbreak of tornadoes that occurred down in the south as part of that storm that brought us snow and rain and mixed precipitation the other day from Sunday night into Monday morning. Obviously caused tornadoes. I believe about 24 people have been reported killed in Alabama as a result of the storm. So we'll try to bring you that after it happens. At least some of the update there from officials in Lee County, Alabama. But we'll get you the Cheyney News Conference live. In the meantime, let's take a look at your weather. Here's a live look at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. Clear skies out there. Nice sunny day, albeit a bit cold. It's not. You can really tell the difference if you're walking in the shade and then you get into the sunshine. You can feel the March sun heat starting to pick up a little bit. It's a drastic difference between the shade and the sunlight today already. Here is a look outside our Fox 29 studios. Current conditions. It's only 27 outside right now. The dew point is just 5, and winds out of the southwest at 9 miles per hour. Get you a look at, that's the, here we go. Ultimate Doppler radar, the last 3 hours. As we mentioned, nice quiet day on the radar map. Here are your current temperatures. 27 in Philadelphia, but it feels like just the teens in Mount Pocono, 13. Well, that's the temperature. We'll get to the feels like temperature in a little bit. The high point right now is Dover at 30 degrees, but everybody else in the 20s are teens. Your northeast temperatures. See that purple and pink up into Canada, but lots of teens on this map for the U.S. Northeast right now. Over towards the Midwest 16 in Cleveland, 11 in Pittsburgh, just 18 in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Only Charlottesville above the freezing point on this map right now. Your U.S. temperatures? Usually there's a bit more yellow and green down in the southeast, but you see Atlanta's below freezing right now. Tampa just 55, Miami the hot spot at 77. Move over to Texas and you see that Dallas is 28, Houston 34. A little bit of warmth in the southwest. San Francisco, Las Vegas, and Phoenix all above 50, but Portland is 25. Billings, the cold point on the map, at 3 below. At the top of the hour, our temperature changed. It felt almost 10 degrees colder in Philadelphia and much of the region. Your winds right now, 9 miles per hour sustained in Philly. Teens in a couple places. And we've got some wind gusts to 23 in Mount Pocono, 21 in Wilmington. So your feels like temperature at the moment is 3 in Mount Pocono. Feels like just 3 degrees outside. Feels like 18 in Philly. Teens for most of the map, a couple spots feels like just about 20, 21 degrees. As we mentioned, visibilities are very good right now. That's because we don't have much cloud cover there. Let's take a look at your futurecast. It's going to remain quiet for most of the day today. Then you see there is a little bit of snow off to the west. See it rather dissipates though, not much for Wednesday. Thursday looks pretty dry. Friday's our next chance of precipitation in our area. See, it's going to move in the middle of the day. By 6 o'clock, looks like it will be affecting the evening rush, perhaps. Of course, we've talked about the sun angle and it getting pretty warm these days. A little bit hard for it to snow as you move in further into March during the day for it to accumulate. But after dark, you can have quite an accumulation, and you see it could be, we'll be watching that rain, snow, sleet line right on through midnight Saturday. And it looks like a rain for Sunday. Here again is a look at the national map. You see that snowfall looks like it'll mostly dissipate before it reaches us today. Let's get you a look at the 7-day forecast from your Fox 29 Weather Authority. Sunny and cold today, 32 for a high. That polar plunge comes 27 tomorrow for a high after an overnight low of just 18 in the city. Frigid start Thursday when we'll be at 16 to start the day, then might get back above freezing. Looks like the tornado press conference is getting underway, so I'm going to record that for us, and we'll come back to that. Where was I? Friday, mix at night, 39 for a high, 20 for an overnight low leading into Friday. But we start to get milder on Sunday before we change the clocks. High of 46. Rain chance on Sunday at 53. Monday, sunny and nice at 51. So there's your pot at the end of the rainbow, to say, as we get, I believe that's the St. Patrick's Day parade we'll have on Sunday. Carry that for you on Fox 29. Looks like it could be a bit warmer if although there is that chance of rain, but certainly nice to see some 50s back on the map. And we've been talking a lot the last couple days about this. Our weather app, newly updated. This will help you prepare for the cold and know what's ahead. You check the temperature outside before you head out. Scroll through, see live radar right down to where you live, as well as an hour-by-hour forecast, school delays and closings. It's all there. You can download it for your Apple or Android device in the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. You can add layers to the radar, the interactive radar, to see the temperatures by color codes on there. Get to know our forecast better. You can watch our latest forecast, or you can watch us live as when we're on the air. So that's your updated Fox 29 Weather Authority app. And you're looking live again at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. It looks like Cheyney University will be starting its news conference very shortly, so we'll take you out there in a moment. Looks like they're still setting up some microphones and getting ready to speak. Actually, let's go now. It looks like they're just starting.
That have joined us here today. We have some exciting developments we want to share with you in terms of our plans for transforming Cheyney University and preparing our students for the 21st century. In May of 2017, the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education Board approved a task force report that was to become the roadmap for Cheyney University's transformation. 8 objectives have guided that transformation. The most notable, 1, a reduced cost structure to balance expenditures with revenues. Secondly, exploring innovative ways to monetize campus assets, more specifically land and buildings, and the engagement of public partners. And third, the development of a new student enrollment recruiting approach. But before I get into the details of the changes underway, I want to address our finances. It's no secret that this university has been in distressed financial condition for years. The school ran a budget deficit of $7.4 million in fiscal 2017. This was the fiscal year prior to my appointment as Cheyney's president in June of 2017. For fiscal year 2018, we trimmed the budget to $4.7 million. And I'm happy to project that the fiscal year ending June of 2019, we will have a balanced budget. In addition to all the structural changes we have made to cut $7.5 million in cost over the past year, financial support of those who believe in what we are doing is going to be essential. To ensure that, we have embarked on an aggressive fundraising campaign, which we will call Resurgence. It's led by Cheyney alumni, working in conjunction with the Cheyney Foundation, and is already being received with great enthusiasm by our supporters. We take that strong support as validation for the bold steps we have taken to transform the university to meet the needs of today's world. We will be a premier educational model for academics, character, and social responsibility. This also coincides with the launch of our new website and our new brand called Cheyney Made. And this map will give you a precept as to what we're going to be talking about shortly. One way we are upgrading our scholastic achievement levels is by embarking on new partnerships. None are more important than the 2 represented here today. Epcot Crenshaw is developing a new headquarters right here on campus. Features will include research labs, greenhouses, and a new aquaponics facility. Cheyney students will get real-world experience in these facilities. Thomas Jefferson University is another partner who has joined with us. A joint research project has already begun with these individuals. Jefferson also plans to build an appropriate medical facility on Cheyney's campus in the years to come. This will be aimed at giving Cheyney students who have an interest in the health professions and opportunity to experience things firsthand. The excitement about the changes underway at Cheyney is reflected in the incoming class for fall of 2019. Applications are up over 30% compared to this time last year. The average grade point average of those who have placed a deposit is 3.25. We project total enrollment in the next school year will be close to 700 quality students. So I've told you about our partners and how they are integrated into our curriculum and campus. Now I'm going to invite each of them to talk more about their role and commitment to Cheyney. I'd like to introduce Mr. Charles Smith, Chairman and CEO of Epcot Crenshaw Corporation. Charles?
How's everybody?
Great.
Somebody say something. All right. My comments will be brief. As we have continued to demonstrate, we are behind Mr. President 100% in this university. Mr. President hit the nail on the head. This is going to be a bridge between technology and natural sciences. And the students and the faculty and all the other third parties involved will have real-world experience from start to finish. We mean from moving dirt all the way through to manufacturing of products and distributing those to our third parties. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be here. Again, my comments are going to be brief. I think it's clear what we want to accomplish, and I thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Charles. I would also like to introduce Mr. Joseph B. Hill, Senior Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer for Thomas Jefferson University and Jefferson Health System.
Good morning. And I'm going to keep my comments very brief. On behalf of Stephen Klasko, our President and CEO, we are at Thomas Jefferson University and Jefferson Health are committed to the partnership with Cheyney. So far, we have a partnership where we have both faculty and students participating on various events on our Jefferson campus, and we look forward to really expanding that partnership. So over the next couple of weeks, you'll hear more about the expansion of our partnership and the things that we're going to be doing with Cheyney University. But once again, we are committed to making sure that we're helping Cheyney as you strive to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned, I wanted to draw your attention to this graphic. One of the objectives of the task force report was to monetize the campus, and we talked about building and lands. This is a schematic of the future of Cheyney. A commercial development area that will include Epcot Crenshaw's headquarters, which will be a renewable energy facility, research laboratories, medical facility from Thomas Jefferson, a new aquaponics facility, additional greenhouses, which will provide real-world experience for Cheyney students. Also, a new multi-purpose building that will be used not only to house our student activities, but something that our community can use as well. And finally, the future, because of our extremely excellent hotel and management, restaurant management program, the entertainment of a hotel and conference center. We are in discussions with a number of hotel chains now about the possibility of building a hotel and conference center here on Cheyney's property. We're orchestrating sweeping changes at this university, and we've only just begun. Thank you for your support, and I welcome any questions you may have for me or our partners. Yes, sir.
J. Scott Smith with KYW News Radio.
Yes,
you mentioned monetization of the buildings on campus and the land and everything, and you obviously got the plan sitting in front of you, but I guess a little more detail on in terms of monetization, what has already kind of started to go through the pipeline, what are we looking at in terms of actual money from this, and would this be a situation of there being more actual growth from this, or could it's got to make sure it's more than just names going on a building and that's it?
That's a good question. First of all, Epcot Crenshaw is going to take one of our existing buildings and create its laboratory in one of the existing buildings. That will be one of the first projects we'll have underway. So we're actually using a building that already exists. The future is that they will build their corporate headquarters here. This will give our students an opportunity to intern right on campus. So that's part of that scenario. The other is, as we look for continuing partners, and as I mentioned, Jefferson is going to evaluate what the needs of this region is before they build a facility on campus. But if you'll notice, each of the partners that we are engaging with have a direct relationship with the students here on campus. We do have a development plan to look at the whole top section of the university. We'll be looking for additional partners. All those partners will fall under the umbrella of academics, character, and social responsibility. So if you look 3 to 5 years out, there'll be a number of different organizations here because we will intentionally go after those organizations that will aid us in our workforce development needs. So they will also inform the curriculum moving forward, because as we put different partners on campus, they'll have to inform the curriculum that we need to support the partnerships that we'll have. Yes, sir.
Bruce Gordon with Fox 29.
Yes,
how
sir.
do these plans impact the deadline that you're facing with the New Space Commission in terms of the accreditation of the university? Obviously, that could be an existential threat if that accreditation would go away.
Where I look at threats as opportunities. We have, for the second time, been granted an extension of our accreditation based on the performance of the last 2 years. The caveat on this third submission that we have to make to the Middle States is based on our financial position and basically some issues that we've got to clear up with the U.S. Department of Education. We're on track to do both of those. We are on track to balance our budget. As I said, we're going to supplement those efforts with a fundraising campaign. But we're in this for the long haul. We're not looking at getting accreditation as an option. We intend to be accredited moving forward.
And just for those of us who are not that familiar, do you believe you'll be accredited fully at the end of this year or at the end of your fiscal year?
Certainly. Our presentation to the Middle States Commission will be on the 21st of November. We owe them a report on August 15 of the progress that has been made since our last appearance before the Commission in November of 2018. We had been before the Commission earlier to address a number of issues that existed at the campus, such as curriculum and things of that nature, which we've cleared up. So in our next appearance, they will look at the progress that has been made toward the outstanding issues and be prepared. I think as they mentioned last year in the report, there was a reasonable expectation that we would be able to fulfill the requirements necessary for continuing accredited. We're accredited right now. We're talking about continuing that accreditation into the future. It's an 8-year accreditation.
Would you describe your accreditation currently as a provisional, though? I mean,
No.
It's not.
No.
You're fully accredited. There is no.
Cheyney is fully accredited.
You're not on probation.
It is not on. It is fully accredited, and the purpose of the report in August is to assure the Commission that we're progressing the way that we have outlined to them in the data that we submitted last November. So the November 21st date will be for them to review the body of information, look at all the reports that we've submitted, the outstanding issues that we don't have to have concluded, but have a pipeline for addressing them. And then they can, at that point, make a decision on the accreditation for the next 8 years. Yes.
Hi, Sarah Hoover for WHYY.
Yes, sir.
Given, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I understand you're looking at accreditation as the only option. But I wanted to ask, given the things you guys have discussed, are these plans that would work with or without accreditation?
I think the partnerships are heavily dependent on accreditation because those partnerships are contingent upon Cheyney continuing to be a degree-granting institution, because those are internships that will lead to real-world experiences. That's why we are so focused on making sure that we meet the accreditation standards, because the partnerships that we have already established and those that we will establish will bode well for the future Cheyney. We were 182 years old last week. I want someone to be standing here 182 years from today talking about what we did in terms of the transformation.
And just one more, one of the conditions, can you talk a little bit about the status of the $30 million that is owed to the department?
Certainly. Upon my arrival in 2017, there had been 5 or 6 years in a row that the state system had supported a budget deficit at Cheyney University, and it accumulated to a $30 million debt. One of the caveats of me coming here and agreeing to stay for 4 years, that in the first year we would demonstrate that we could take $7.5 million out of expenses. That's taken the first year into 2018, but we have done just that. The other caveats were that for the ensuing 3 years, we would balance the budget, knowing that the first year would be the most difficult, because we have implemented plans for years 2 and 3 that we feel very confident will come to fruition. So this was the most challenging year, but we're meeting that challenge head on.
So there had been some talk, I guess, in Harrisburg of an additional loan. That's not going to be needed this year. I guess the chairman of the PIA was talking about that sometime in the last few months.
We might need additional capital in terms of cash flow, but we are identifying sources to make sure that our cash flow needs are met.
So, I mean, you may have to access some of that $10 million, I guess it was discussed?
No.
No.
It's not our intention to access. It's not our intention to access it at all, as a matter of fact.
When you say you have a cash flow issue, where would
we have other sources of gaining money that we have that we can get some cash flow money.
Would this be foundation money? Would it be you going to the open market and borrowing?
We could borrow, because we do have collateral that we could use to borrow if we needed to.
You don't have bonding authority, but you could put up property.
Absolutely. Sure.
Just to be clear with regard to enrollment, this year I guess the enrollment is 400 and change, and if I heard you correctly, you believe it's going to be approximately 700 next year with tougher standards. To what do you ascribe what would seem like almost a miraculous jump in enrollment, especially with tougher standards?
Well, let's address the elephant in the room, which was the reduction in the enrollment. The reduction that occurred in enrollment was planned. There were a number of things that we had to do to begin the transformation. We eliminated the football program entirely. We lost 80 students as a result of that. It was a very difficult decision, but was one of the issues that we discussed in the task force report in 2017. The other issues that we needed to address was the fact that we had been an open enrollment school for years, and we didn't even abide by our own standards. We had to bottom out. So when we brought on our new executive enrollment management, Mr. Jones, who is a seasoned enrollment expert, he put in a new process whereby we would upgrade the academic qualities of the students that we are engaging right now. That, along with the partnerships that have been announced and potential internships, et cetera, has galvanized the new interest in Cheyney, particularly in the STEM, biology, math arena. As I said, our partnerships will inform the curriculum that we have. So I think the resurgence is in that there has been a transformation in Cheyney. The qualities that we're looking for in terms of academics, character, and social responsibility are resonating well with our student population today, and they're our best ambassadors. They're going, in fact, I had probably the best compliment paid to me 2 weeks ago when one of our students said, "We feel like we're in a real college." That's a major cultural shift. So we know we're on the right track.
Just maybe you could walk us through that. The enrollment high, I saw at one time, 1,400 students.
The enrollment over the last probably 10, 15 years in the entire system has kind of gone down. Cheyney was no exception. Needless to say, some of the issues that Cheyney faced in the past, financial, cultural, academic open enrollment, etc., led to a decline. What we did is when we came in, when working with the trustees, we said we're going to have to transform the trajectory of the university. That's exactly what's happening. We're in the middle of a transformation. It's not just change. It's totally redesigning the university to meet 21st century standards.
And as you stand here with the mid-states issue, and again, deadline gets used. It doesn't sound like it's a hard deadline, it's more like a soft deadline. Are you optimistic? And if so, how optimistic are you that you will be able to, I guess, pass muster for everything they're asking?
I'm extremely optimistic. I came out of a 40-year corporate environment where part of my role was to do turnarounds. My marching orders on 4 turnarounds that I did was make it work or shut it down. They don't need turnaround orders to come to Cheyney to shut it down. Anyone could have done that. I'm here to help with the transformation.
So it is turning around.
It's turning around.
5 years from now, with the help of the 2 institutions that you have tapped here, what would be here that you would be proudest of? I mean, when kids and their parents come in and take the tour and walk around here, what will you show them and what will you tell them is going on in those 2 buildings?
I will be proudest of the opportunities that have been provided for our students, and those students will be telling the story because they will be able to exemplify the experiences that they have achieved as a result of the partnerships that we currently have and those that will evolve as we continue to grow.
And I just want to go back to maybe my original question in terms of the actual financial potential windfall could be for the university. If all this goes through, what could you project how in terms of money could come into Cheyney University within the next maybe 5 years, 10 years?
There will be a significant inflow. As I said, we're not going to depend on tuition and state appropriations for the future. In my world, we look at augmenting our financial position with creative solutions. The partnership are creative solutions to have not only an interaction with our students, but to have tenants. So we would hope that we will gain from some of the development opportunities. There will be cash flow there, and there will be long-term value in some of the leasing that we will do on property.
In terms of alumni, how the alumni you feel responded to some of the changes and the potential changes? Do you worry about there could be any pushback from some other alumni groups or current students?
I'm sorry you weren't at Founders Day last week. The excitement that was in Marian Anderson Auditorium for the alumni was unparalleled. I think that they were excited about what is going on. They bring an energy themselves to the university that is contagious. So their energy and enthusiasm is cascading to me, although I don't need a lot of energy. I'm pretty energetic myself. But I was encouraged by the level of engagement and the support that I'm receiving from the alumni.
Just to be clear with regard to when we talk about monetizing, obviously that's a broad term. When we talk about monetizing, for example, the Epcot Crenshaw headquarters, the multi-purpose building, the hotel and conference center. Would, for example, Epcot Crenshaw, would they be leasing that building from your campus? Is that where you get the money there? Or the multi-purpose building? Say the township wants to hold a function there, they rent it from you. The hotel company, whatever it is, they lease or rent that from you. How does that money come to you?
Not to put words in his mouth, but I'm going to let the CEO of Epcot talk about the leasing, since I'm going to be taking money from him.
So I guess the question is how do we actually do business? Is that fair?
How does Cheyney University wind up with money in its pocket, which it needs from their partnership with your company?
Right. So that's how we do business. We're going to develop the space. We're going to build the space, so there'll be transactions there. But most importantly, we will actually be running a business here. This will not be purely a office building with a bunch of executives in it. We will be manufacturing food and water products and soil products and helping everyone understand what that means to a community. So because we are partners from the beginning, since nothing exists now, we will treat each other fairly. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but we will treat each other fairly.
They'll get some of the profits from your company.
It's fair.
So there will be a cost sharing or a revenue sharing issue.
That's fair.
Okay. And you hope to have a production facility here. What kind of metrics do you hope to produce here?
Well, we're still in development. We don't hope, we will have a production facility here. It will be an extension of the existing aquaponics facility designed today. So we'll have to wait for those metrics to come, but we'll get there.
You have an existing facility like this at Westchester or in Westchester or somewhere in Suffolk County?
Fair enough. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Question for President Wilson. Now, I just wondered if you could describe sort of where the finances are right now in terms of what the actual deficit is and how you're going to close that by June.
I think that we've explained that we're running ahead of budget right now in terms of our savings and things we're doing for the year. I'm a person that likes to plan for all eventualities. So there is a possibility that we will run a deficit if we don't do some additional fundraising. So the fundraising effort is to augment the aggressive nature of our financing area right now. So we're confident that we'll be able to meet those goals.
How much would you need to raise, would you say?
I think we've put the number of $4 million out there.
$4 million you raised. And can you tell me how much you raised so far? Or
We're just starting the campaign. And we've had some contributions that have already come in since some of the articles came out. So thank you for some of your articles. They've been helpful.
And so if I understand this correctly, you've identified $7.5 million of your operating side on your operating budget that you've cut.
We've already done that.
What are those areas? What areas do you do?
Well, one of them, unfortunately, a large portion was staffing. A lot of it was the demolition of some of the buildings that were scheduled for demolition 5 years ago that were still using resources such as gas, electric, et cetera. So there, we just looked at a myriad of things that were low-hanging fruit that would not impact the students. We eliminated football programs, so we eliminated costly things associated with NCAA and PSAC affiliation. So there were a number of things that we looked, probably about 10 metrics that we looked at, of things that we could do on campus in a short order to begin this first year.
And that annualizes to 7.5?
That annualized to a little bit more than 7.5 million.
And just so I'm understanding, maybe I misunderstood, but I thought I heard you say that you've got a $4 million that you'll need in fundraising in order to balance
We could need up to $4 million this year
to balance
the budget for this year.
So there's no guarantee that budget is balanced at this point. It will need.
It won't be. It's not balanced until the end of the fiscal year. So we're projecting that it will be balanced by June 30th.
And that is with the help of the $4 million in fundraising or thereabouts.
Absolutely.
President Wilson, can you just address what the Chancellor said at the Senate hearing about the $10 million and why that figure is not really what you need? Can you address that?
I can't address what the Chancellor said. I can address what I say. As I mentioned to you, we are working with some cash flow issues that we, I think, have a clear pipeline to deal with. And I think he mentioned that there might be $2.5 million in addition to that, the cash flow issues that amount to the 10. I'm hedging the bet and saying it's 4 instead of 2. So I'm being a little bit more pessimistic to make sure that we've taken into consideration any contingencies that might come up.
I have a question for the Thomas Jefferson partner.
Sure.
I was just hoping you could talk a little bit more in detail. I know you guys have a research initiative partnership now. You mentioned building a medical building, so I was just hoping you could just talk about the planned partnership in more detail.
So the partnership really focuses on working with the Cheyney students, and in hopes that we are preparing the students for our graduate school, our Sidney Kimmel Medical College, and some of our other graduate schools that we have in our Center City campus. As far as the building goes with the building a new medical facility, that is still being discussed and that's still in the works.
And in terms then of more on-campus involvement, is that something that would wait until like building of the facility?
No. We're currently having some bi-directional partnerships going on now with our faculty and staff from Thomas Jefferson University coming out here, and also having faculty from Cheyney University coming to our campus on City City. They're actually participating in our Leadership Academy. We currently have faculty from Cheyney participating in our Leadership Academy. In addition to, we have currently around 7 students on our Center City campus that's doing a work study program.
Back to questions about the building. The gentleman with Epcot said that would be a production facility, and we sort of grasped that. Are you talking about maybe outpatient care facility for the region or something here? Or
We're still in having discussions around what that facility would look like.
So it doesn't necessarily, I mean, you might have students in it, but it may not necessarily be a medical facility that's, retail sense of the word.
Well, as I mentioned, we're still in the process of having a discussion of what that would look like.
Question for President Walton. When I asked a moment ago about how you monetize some of these things, you mentioned the Epcot Crenshaw situation. In terms of the multipurpose building and the hotel and conference center, would both of those be a sort of, you release the space for the hotel and you rent out the multipurpose?
They would all be revenue generating activities. All the activities, being somewhat capitalistic, all the revenue generating activities will be maximized. So we're not going to do anything that does not result in a monetary benefit to Cheyney either currently or into the future. Yes, sir.
I just have one question, Mr. Hill. Just one other question. I wonder, is there any kind of timeline on when you might know what this medical facility would look like? Like when you might have more details on it?
Like I said before, we're still in the midst of planning that and having those discussions with both President Walton and our internal faculty at Thomas Jefferson. So over the next couple of months, we'll have a better understanding of what that's going to look like.
We're in this for the long haul, so when we're talking things of this nature, we're talking about a 3 to 5 year life cycle, because we know things don't happen overnight. But the planning is the most important part, and then it's execution. So we're solidifying the base now with partnerships and making sure that what we'll need to build on a firm foundation exists for us. So that's just part and part of that transformation that has to exist. You've got to have a firm foundation in order to build properly.
Is
So
it your hope and expectation that these plans, 3 to 5 years out though they may be, will help convince the accreditation folks that, hey, we're on the right path here, even if we're not exactly where we need to be in August, September, November of this year, we're clearly going in the right direction, and for that reason you ought to...
That's an excellent question. One of the issues that we've dealt with traditionally with the accrediting body is persistence, graduation, retention rates. There's no question that the steps that we have taken will improve retention, graduation, and retention rates, and we've seen that just recently in our fall of 18 class of freshmen moving into the next year. We retain 85% of them.
Compared to past years
of probably 70% and less. So we know we're on the right track. These things will be supplemental. They're not what Middle States asked for. These are things that Cheyney needs to do to sustain its financial future and to ensure it. So it certainly won't hurt, because I think it will lead to the fact that we will be a stable financial organization. Okay. Another question. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we really appreciate your attendance. And we'll be around for a few more minutes if you have any other questions. And I see a number of our students cutting class. No, they're not. They don't do that. They don't do that. But they're here. I'm glad they're here. You know what? That's why we're here. It's all about students. They're the future.
You've been watching a news conference at Cheyney University talking about its future. Of course, Cheyney's had some financial struggles. They're working on a turnaround plan here, and they were announcing some of the details of that. It sounds like a lot of the features are still in negotiation. They have a partnership with Thomas Jefferson University, I believe they said. They're looking into some commercial ventures to offer hotel and restaurant training, I heard. Some businesses interested in partnering there, perhaps opening a hotel restaurant on the campus or near the campus to build up. Two things I mentioned about some of these news conferences we bring you. You get a chance to see our crews at work in the field, and just so you know, what our photographers are typically tasked with is they're trying to feedback the video for you so that we can broadcast it live. But in the meantime, they're also trying to grab cutaway shots so that they can, when they present this story on the news at 5, 6, 10, and 11 tonight, they have some, not just somebody talking up at the podium, but flavor of the audience who were there, the folks in the room, the features of the room, all those kinds of things. So they're trying to gather for multiple purposes. The other thing, I was trying to turn up the volume a little bit so you could hear the questions. Our Fox 29's Bruce Gordon was in the room asking questions and trying to get more of the particulars. So you got to see some of the give and take of our reporters trying to, obviously, some, as I mentioned, some of these details of their plan and what they want to do are still in negotiation. So our Bruce Gordon trying to get as many of the particulars out of the officials as he could. So you get a little bit of that give and take, and in some places where negotiation or property acquisitions, leasing deals, stuff like that are still in the works. You heard officials wishing to be a little bit tight-lipped and not show their full hand. But Bruce trying to get as much detail as he could for Cheyney alumni and local residents and people who would be interested in the school's future and potential students, current students, to get as much information as he could into the public eye. I did mention, it looks like it's wrapping up now. Officials in Lee County, Alabama, held a news conference on the deadly tornadoes that occurred. Let me get you one of the headlines, the biggest pieces of information out of that event. Authorities are saying they've identified all 23 of the deceased persons from that tornado in Alabama. Their ages range from 6 to 93, and one family lost at least 7 people. So we'll show you that news conference in a little bit. Let me get you to a little bit more local news that we have still from this morning, and then we'll work back to that. Here are some stories that we've been following. This one's been for the last couple days. In Bucks County, Pennsylvania, family, friends, and coworkers gathered last night to remember 2 teenagers killed in a crash Sunday evening. Those teens, Michelle Goodwin and Daniel Pearson, were 18 years old. A 17-year-old who was driving the vehicle is in Lehigh Valley Hospital. No word on their condition or if any charges will be filed. State police say Goodwin and Pearson were passengers in a 95 Ford pickup when it slid off Route 663 around 5:30 a.m. Around 5:30 on Sunday in Milford Township. Yesterday, the Dairy Queen that Goodwin and Pearson worked at was closed, and a vigil was held for them. Family and friends showed up to remember Goodwin and Pearson and pray.
She was just a blessing. Every time she came in the room, she would light up the room.
And my wife said best last night, yeah, I'm a little tighter now, just because it can happen to anybody.
State police believe that Sunday's snow could have been a major factor in the crash. Police in Delaware and Bucks counties are on the hunt for this man. Michael Edmondson is wanted for allegedly robbing 2 banks last month. The latest happened in Havertown on February 24th. Investigators say Edmondson walked into a Citizens Bank inside a giant food store demanding money. 5 days before that, he allegedly pulled the same stunt at a Wells Fargo bank in Trevose. Police say he got away with the cash in both incidents. A Berks County councilman is behind bars this morning, charged with stealing opioids from a local drugstore. Police say back on February 19th, 34-year-old Kirk Mullen barged into the West Reading drugstore with a ski mask on and stole more than $16,000 in pain meds. Investigators say they caught him on security camera and then searched his home.
What we found was a pill bottle from the West Reading drugstore, and that pill bottle was stolen. We were able to identify that.
He's a good friend of mine, and it just, it's sad. I love the guy a lot. He's a really good guy.
Investigators say they believe Mullen may have sold some of the drugs he's accused of stealing. He can remain on the council up until a conviction, authorities say. In Delaware County, the wrong-way driver who caused I-95 to shut down yesterday is expected to be arraigned today. Police say they tried to pull over 41-year-old Anthony Kolobov, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, of Wayne, near the Philadelphia International Airport. That's when police say he jumped the median, hit two vehicles, and continued to travel on I-95 northbound in the opposite direction, striking another vehicle head-on. Kolobov has been charged with DUI and drug possession. A stroll to the playground leads to a big business idea, how a local dad is transforming baby products with parents in mind. Here is the conversation from Good Day Philadelphia this morning with Ted Yobust, talking about his idea and for a stroller.
So the reason why we need the Colugo is because the Philadelphia dad you're about to meet is being credited with changing the stroller industry. Well, maybe I'm overstating it, but he's taking it up a notch.
So it started back in 2015 when Ted Yobst and his wife were expecting twins, and he realized there weren't many strollers in the market that were both affordable and functional. And that's when he created Colugo. It's being called the Warby Parker of strollers. You know Warby Parker, they make the glasses and all that.
There you go.
So Ted joins us now with his 3-year-old twins, Fritz and Larkin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you here. Fritz is on your arm over there.
This is Fritz.
And Larkin's in the stroller that you have created?
Yeah. We designed this stroller based on parent needs that we identified over the last several years.
So the stroller's called a Colugo, but is that the company too?
It's also the company name, yeah.
So I don't know if Samantha, she's one of the best producers ever. Have you been able to find a Colugo? What is it?
Because we were wondering, what is that thing?
Yeah.
You were right, it's not pretty.
Yeah, so a Colugo is a flying mammal, and it's one of a kind. Basically, we wanted to create one-of-a-kind products, and a Colugo also makes a baby carrier out of its wings for its young.
So you see the wings, kind of arm-like things. When there's a baby Colugo, it wraps its arms around the baby.
There's a couple other parts about the name. We're really focused on community, so Co. We're really focused on building products that help parents get out and about, so Go. So it's really a combination of things, and the baby carrier thing sort of put it over the top for us. So.
Look at the baby, Ted. Look at the baby.
What I love about this too is it can get really expensive when you're looking for strollers. They can go up to what, $5,000?
Oh, I've seen those up in Manhattan.
Yeah, they can get really, really expensive. And so what we sell direct to consumer, which means that we cut out the middleman and are able to offer super high quality for a much more affordable price.
Look at that. Did you see that? Flipping that stroller open. So let's get Larkin out of there. But let's do the little demo here. Make sure we get the tight shots. How do you get her out?
Do you want to get out, Larkin?
She's ready to get out.
It's really easy.
So Larkin, move your arms.
You just pop open the buckle.
Squeeze.
Yep. That's it.
Three locks?
So it's a 5-point harness, which is standard, high quality, highest safety you can have.
All right.
And then you want to go in.
Hold on, before you go in.
Fritz. Here, come over here, Fritz.
Fritz, you can
go in.
Like, no.
Oh my God, my head's gone. You two back up just a second. We're going to show how it collapses.
Well, they must love it.
Watch your fingers.
They love it. It's their favorite thing. So the parents. one of the biggest pain points we found is it takes 5 steps to fold, you know, all these things. So we made a one-handed fold that just folds down just like this.
You did that with one hand.
And we also added a shoulder strap because, again, it's all about mobility. You know, you're not just using your car, you're on and off the subway, on and off the bus, etc. So you can just put it over your shoulder. It weighs 15 pounds. It fits in the overhead of an airplane. So it's really built for this, you know, new...
How much?
It's $285, and it includes the rain cover and a carry backpack.
Okay, before Fritz freaks out, let's get him in it.
Fritz, you want to get in? Yeah. Here we go. Let's do it. So opening it is just as easy. You okay there, Larkin? Good. So one hand.
love that you do that.
Fritz, you want to hop in, bud?
Fritz is ready to go.
Yeah, he's
All
a big fan. Big fan of the Colugo. You want to get strapped in? All right. And so, yeah, it's just as easy to get him in. And it actually fits. So Fritz is 3, so it fits anywhere from 6 months up to 55 pounds, which is a pretty big range.
By the way, Larkin, relax. You take your time. What else you saw? Oh, Ryan, come in here. Ryan is not a dad yet,
So
but
we'll move Fritz
he's a
back
fake dad.
just a little bit.
All right, now what is
Can we
this
move
thing
the
that
stroller
you've
back?
created?
So this is our Colugo carrier. So again, all of our products sort of, you know, are designed based on
Turn toward the
parent
cameras.
needs. And so, can I hold you, Larkin? Yeah. Okay. So, so basically, this is super light, super breathable. No more sweaty baby, sweaty parent. We've got air mesh on the inside to create airflow. The other thing we've done is we've made it very easy to get on and off, both for the parent and to get the child in and out. So one of the coolest features we have are these magic buckles that we've developed. So no more fiddling with the buckles once you get your child in. Just set it on top and it's locked.
Can you do a 360 there, Ryan? How's it look in the back? Plenty of support, upper back and lower back. How much is that one?
This is $125.
All right. What else you got there, Ted?
So we also have our newest product. Can I set you down, Larkin?
Larkin, come on,
No, of course not. But I can switch you around. So our newest product is actually the on-the-go organizer, which clips to the back of our stroller and serves as a console. It's got 2 cup holders, space for diapers, wipes, pouches, a nice soft pocket for your cell phone and your wallet. But then it also comes off and becomes a crossbody bag or a fanny pack. So if you're chasing your child out onto the playground, you just unclip it.
How much is that?
Put it on. This is $45.
2 things. Where do we get this stuff?
HiColugo.com. We sell directly only on our website.
Is that high, H-I, or is that high?
HiColugo.com. Yep.
Your wife is watching?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you want to say something, Larkin, to your mommy?
No.
No.
How old's the new child?
Our new child is 1 week as of yesterday.
1 week.
Yeah. So we're super excited to welcome him to the family, and he'll be in a Colugo. He loves the carrier already.
It seems like you could keep yourself in business.
Yes, that's right. That's it.
By the way, Ted is from Allentown, but lives here in the Philadelphia area. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Yes, this is great.
Look like some great gear. I could attest to being one of those parents who has every hand and full, and I once had 3 kids under the age of 4, so I see where he's coming from, and looks like he's come up with some neat gadgets to help parents on the go with their little ones. Let's get you to, we've been following, let me set this up for you a little bit. This was the news conference that I mentioned that we'd be recording and playing back for you. A deadly tornado struck Alabama on Sunday. You can see the devastation. You can see the destruction caused by the twister connected to a powerful storm system. Today, people are grieving the loss of loved ones who were killed. 23 lives lost, including children ages 6, 9, and 10. The National Weather Service believes that the storm had 170-mile-per-hour winds. At one point, the tornado was registered a half-mile wide, destroying nearly everything in its path. This morning, rescue workers were back out searching for any sign of life. They say dozens of people are still missing. We'll see if that's the case in the news conference we're going to play for you momentarily. Here is someone talking about how the storms impacted her.
The worst day of my life. I was at work. He was here by himself. If I'd have came home earlier, I'd have been in the middle of it. But if I could have been here, he would have got me to safety. He wouldn't have been here.
Once again, 23 people died as a result of this latest severe weather. Dozens more are missing. But at this hour, with nearly 100 people in area hospitals, it's difficult to pinpoint where those missing may be. As I mentioned, a news conference was held in Lee County, Alabama earlier. I'm going to replay this for you so you can hear the latest information.
Hey, good morning. Thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Rita Smith, R-I-T-A-S-M-I-T-H. I am the Lee County Emergency Management Agency Public Information Officer. Today we've got some information to provide, and we're going to start out with our Alabama Emergency Management Agency Director, Brian Hastings. That is H-A-S-T-I-N-G-S. He's going to speak to you, and then he will introduce the next person, so on and so forth. Please keep your questions until the end. We will take some. Please be respectful and keep them to the end. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Rita. I appreciate that. On behalf of Governor Ivey and the state of Alabama, I want to thank Sheriff Jones and EMA Director Kathy Carson for their hospitality. And we also want to pass on our condolences and our sympathies to all those impacted by the storms who have lost loved ones, family members, and friends during this trying and devastating time. This tornado that happened on Sunday was unbelievable, an EF4, 170 knots, and when you see the devastation, it's just hard to fathom that something can be this powerful and it tracked through Lee County. So we're sorry for everyone's loss. I just want to give you a quick update on what the state is doing for Lee County on behalf and at the request of Sheriff Jones and EMA Director Kathy Carson. So today we've been coordinating with the Forestry Department, and they have an incident management team that will be deployed to Smith Station to help out with some response, transition to recovery activities. So we'll be involved with that. We have personnel still embedded in Kathy's EOC, and we'll be helping bridge the information gap from the counties, the cities, through Lee County to the state, up to the federal government. This morning we had conversations with Assistant Administrator Jeff Byard. He just wanted to check in on us, and we've been in constant contact with the FEMA Region 4 Administrator, who we expect will be out here tomorrow or Thursday to see the operations and the area. So we are just trying to identify gaps, make sure that we fill those gaps and the capabilities that the local communities need at this time. Back at Clinton at the state EOC, we have a FEMA Incident Management Assessment team who's embedded in our operations, and they're working through building an incident strategic plan so that we can marry up our current response operations into a smooth transition to the long recovery period, which will be long and it will be very arduous, but we look forward to continuing with a close relationship with Lee County Sheriff, Lee County EMA, to make sure that we know the needs and we attend to those needs of Lee County in their time of suffering. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Lee County EMA Director Kathy Carson.
And we appreciate everything the state has been here for us in a big way, providing resources and support staff for all of our agencies. We've had an outpouring of offers for assistance from huge humanitarian organizations. Samaritan's Purse, they are all offering assistance here. And we are beginning to form up with them to be able to get that assistance down to the grassroots where the people need it. That is our next goal. We will be opening tomorrow in Smith Station, and you'll have to check back on our website for the exact location because I don't have authorization to release that yet. Tomorrow in Smith Station at 8 a.m. Central Time, we will open a volunteer reception center, and we are asking anyone who is a volunteer who has something to offer or give to this situation, come to the volunteer reception center, and this process we'll put the people through will give them some safety briefings and some personal protective gear, and then we will take care of getting them to the sites. The sites are going to be determined by the citizen registration on 211. When the citizens have a need, they need to register that need by dialing 211, and we will match up volunteers and with different capabilities and perhaps some products with the requests from the citizens on 211. So we do need for people to continue to register there and let us know what they need. We want to hear from them. We can't help them if we don't hear what their needs are. So we're strongly encouraging them to get in touch with that. Right now, Highway is giving the authorization for citizens to begin to have their debris pushed to the edge of the roadway. And it will be picked up by Lee County if it is pushed up to the county right-of-way. But we're asking them, please don't block your driveway. Don't put it in the gutters. Don't block any fire hydrants or anything of that nature. But they can begin to push that debris so they can begin the cleaning process in many situations. Okay. We're also going to be registering resources that will be available to the citizens to do that. If they have a need for that, we need to register it with 211. As far as our volunteers go, if you are an unaffiliated volunteer, we want you to report to the VRC, to the Volunteer Reception Center. That's where we're going to handle that. And by unaffiliated, I mean no one in public safety, or you're not in public safety or something of that nature. You're a citizen that wants to offer your help to the community. Please come to the Volunteer Reception site in Smith Station. Affiliated volunteers, both inside Alabama and outside of Alabama, we would like for them to call the EMA and register themselves if they're an individual that is coming. If their agency wants to come, they can register that agency through the 211 system. But let us know who you are and what you can offer to the situation, and we'll speak with the sheriff and the fire chiefs and find out if they need you, and then we'll be back in touch with you. Individuals from outside the state of Alabama in that capacity need to work through their state EMAs. They need to volunteer there, and they will work with Alabama EMA, and we'll get that set up if there's a need for what they have to offer. I'm sorry, I'm having to read this. Oh, we need, when they push the debris to the roadside, it needs to be separated. You can't push everything into one big pile, because we're going to pick it up and we're going to separate it out. We're asking that separate the debris by vegetative, that's trees and limbs, and construction materials, wood, insulation, etc., and large appliances. Push it all out there, but kind of separate it so we can pick it up separately, because that's what we're going to have to do. If you have been impacted by the tornadoes on Sunday, March 3rd, and have needs that have been met, we want to reiterate that over and over. Tell us what those needs are. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to hear. We can't help you if we don't know what you need. So register on the 211 and let us know. Lee County Register residents that were affected by these storms can receive free bags of ice. Each household can collect 2 bags of ice per day from the distribution center located at the First Baptist Church in Opelika. The trailer is located in the parking lot at the corner of 10th and Avenue B. And starting at 5 p.m. March the 5th, it will be open every day for people to drive in and get their ice if they need it. For those who still have not been able to contact a friend or family member, go to the Lee County EMA website, and it's www.leecoema.com, leecoema.com. And there is a form on there that you can fill out to give us your information and the information on the person that you can make contact with from that area, okay? Or if you suspect that they may have been in that area. We're asking that you give us complete information on the missing person. What was their address? If they had a phone, if you have their phone number, put that down too. A lot of information that we need on the person that is missing. But that form is still up for those who may need it, so we're encouraging people to register that. We have a Red Cross shelter still at Providence Baptist Church, and anyone who needs sheltering can go to Providence Baptist Church. We may be opening more depending on the need, but right now that is the shelter location. It is not full, So we're encouraging people to take advantage of that shelter opportunity. There was one more thing, though. I think maybe that's got it. This has been an ordeal for all of us, but I'm going to tell you, I think the people here and the people who have come to help us have performed admirably throughout this, and we have reached out to our citizens to assist them and help get them back on their feet and help them with their medical needs. Also, the Red Cross, I forgot to tell you this, Rita, the Red Cross has medicines available for people who maybe have lost their homes in this event, so they can contact us at the LECO EMA, or they can contact the Red Cross and they can offer some assistance with that if people have medications that were maybe destroyed. That's another option that we have for them. But we're here for the citizens, and we cannot emphasize enough that we want them to communicate with us and let us know what they need and how we can help them even further than we have. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
How many active searches do you still have going on? Do you have a number of people who have gone onto your website to mention this?
I think Sheriff Jones will be speaking in just a moment, and he can address that, I think.
Ms. Carson, you directed people to go to websites. What if they don't have internet access?
They can call the Lee County EMA at 334-749-8161. We have a whole staff there that is waiting to talk to them. And we will be implementing further measures to be able to assist people with needs. But right now, they can go ahead and call the Lee County EMA.
Can we just leave those questions to the end? I think we're going to encompass a lot.
You meant when I finished.
No, all right. Great. Thank you.
I'm Byron Prather, Fire Chief, City of Opelika. I was asked to speak on some of the search and rescue efforts going on today from the fire EMS perspective. We're still actively searching areas there. Today we do have firefighters on the ground searching. They're searching not mainly for somebody, but just searching areas that have large piles of debris, searching through that debris to make sure that we miss nobody. It's a continuous effort from fire EMS and law enforcement and other agencies that we continue to search and make sure that we don't miss nothing. We do have crews there. We're standing by with for EMS services if needed. I know we provided that, but we'll continue to be there as long as necessary. There are many agencies involved: Opelika Fire Department, Auburn Fire Department, the Beauregard Volunteer, just to name a few. There is a collective effort of fire departments working together in that area, and we are still conducting some searches in the area, sifting through piles of debris where there may be people or animals such as that there. So we haven't given up hope. We're still searching.
At this time, Sheriff Jay Jones, Sheriff for Lee County, will speak.
Good morning. At this time, the search efforts, as mentioned by Chief Prather a minute ago, are continuing. We have been able to narrow the searches down from a broad spectrum of the area down to specific areas of particular concern. These are associated with addresses of individuals that were in the most affected areas. We're in the process of having our investigators contacting families and making sure that individuals that heretofore have been unaccounted for are accounted for. That process is ongoing. At this point, the current number we're looking at is approximately 7 to 8 people. It's come down, way down actually, from what we initially had. That effort will continue today. Hopefully that number will continue to decrease as the day goes on. And again, we're concentrating on specific pockets. The search is not as in a broad spectrum. A lot of heavy equipment coming into these particular areas that we're using to pick up big portions of the debris to do searches under those areas to ensure that we've covered everything. And some of the other issues that we're looking at, of course, are in regard to the victims and their families, which has, of course, always been our primary concern. It is a labor of concern and care that all of the first responders and all the volunteers are engaged in it at this point in time. We are continuing to restrict certain areas for access only to first responders and those that are assisting in the search efforts. As the day goes on, it is hoped that we will begin transitioning from a search and rescue to a recovery status as the day goes on. Hopefully by later today and certainly starting tomorrow, at least that is the current plan. And so again, I guess you could emphasize our current efforts is ensuring that we have covered those specific areas of particular concern in regard to those that are not accounted for at this particular time.
At this time, Coroner Bill Harris is going to speak. I will have printed material to give you at the end of this conference.
Thanks, Rita. The number of decedents has not increased. It's still at 23. Yesterday, we were able to positively identify all 23 victims, make families contact, and as of 10 o'clock last night, all 23 victims have been released to the funeral homes of choice by those families for funeral services. The ages range from 6 to 93, I believe. There is a printed list that will be handed out that has the victim's name and their age. I'm not going to get in reading it off right now. You can read that for yourself. They'll be handing those out shortly. Coroner's office is still not done. Our job now is to assist these families and guide them in these directions towards those final dispositions of those decedents. I want to thank the SMORT, which is called the State Mortuary Operations Response Team. I learned early on that afternoon that my resources would be overwhelmed. And this is a state asset that the state of Alabama has that most people don't know about. It's comprised of volunteers, of coroners, and funeral directors around this state. If I make the call or a coroner makes the call, they proceed to that county, and at the discretion of the coroner, they do whatever's needed. We had a team of about 8 EMTs, funeral directors, Lee County investigators. Sheriff Jones assigned 1 investigator to each case. Each case was handled one at a time, and that's why the process took so long yesterday. We had to make sure absolutely that that person was who we were told it was or who we thought it was. We were able to do that. I thank him and his staff. It was a very concerted effort, and we were able to get all that done yesterday afternoon. And Captain Jackson and I talked to the last family about 8 or 9 o'clock last night, and about 10:30 we had all of them released to funeral homes. Just keep those families in your prayers. There's one family in there that was about married. They're connected, and there are over 7 people this man lost in one family. So it's a tragic situation. I can't thank this community enough for jumping in there and the support that I've seen firsthand. It's just been amazing. And when this is over, I'll take any questions now, Rita, or later. Questions?
We'd like for Chris Darden with the National Weather Service to give a statement, and then we're going to let the director come up and take questions. Okay?
Hi, good morning. We're still in the damage assessment and evaluation phase. Again, just want to reiterate that our job is to assess and get information out to help with disaster declarations, but most important part is the people, not the property. But just want to give a couple of quick updates. No change to the Lee County track, but we are talking with our partners over in the Peachtree City, Atlanta office. So that actual continuous tornado track is probably going to be about 70 miles. That track continued well into Georgia. We'll probably have some additional information out on that today. The Macon County, Macon-Lee track, which was the second tornado, that was upgraded to EF2 late last night. That was on the ground for 29 miles. The 2 Barber tornadoes, which were the same storm, but they were not continuous, they actually lifted and touched back down. Those 2 were both upgraded to EF2 as well. One thing of note there, the second Barber tornado actually destroyed our weather equipment at the Eufaula Airport. It was basically level to the ground. We have a team out today, back out of Barber County, Bullitt County, looking at some more damage out there as well. And I will say this, I'll put it out to the media. Thank you guys for everything you're doing. The more attention you get on this event, really helps the local people and helps them getting resources. So thank you very much for what you're doing. And if there's any more reports that you have from other counties, please pass those along to us. Sometimes an event like this, we can go weeks and not hear about something, and then all of a sudden we have another tornado track. So if there's something that you guys hear about, please let us know. You're our eyes and ears on the ground. A couple of things I want to mention. I apologize for not mentioning this yesterday. The radar at Maxwell Air Force Base was a huge, huge help to us. We work with our DoD partners there at Maxwell. They suffered a catastrophic failure about 2 weeks ago, major issue to the radar. Typically, it takes a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, to get that radar back up. The folks at the Department of Defense, along with our partners at the Radar Operations Center out in Oklahoma, they worked tirelessly, literally 24 hours a day, a couple of weeks ago to get that radar back up. If that radar had not been up, we may not have been able to detect the tornado as quickly as we did. So a huge thank you to our partners in Norman, Oklahoma, and also the Department of Defense. So thank you very much to them. One thing I wanted to clarify, there was a couple of things that I saw. I did mention there was only 5 minutes of lead time for the Beauregard community in the warning. Went back and looked at the information. There was about 8 to 9 minutes, roughly, for the first fatality here in Beauregard. That is correct. Right on the county line, there was probably about 5 minutes of warning, but right here in town, there was about 8 to 9 minutes. And we did have a warning to the west in Macon County for the same storm, and we mentioned the storm was wrapping up, but that was about a 40-minute lead time in Macon County for the same storm that produced the tornado here in Lee County. So I did want to clarify that as well. I'll be available today for interviews, questions. Possibly if we could get out, if you guys want to get out in the field too, the areas that are available, we can do some stuff in the field as well. I'll be here through the afternoon. So again, thank you guys for everything you're doing. I appreciate it. The more y'all can get it out in the media and get it out on TV, it's important. It's not important for me. It's not important for us in the Weather Service. It's important for these guys over here. So they're the ones that need it, not me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. One last thing that I would like to say. I would like to thank Auburn University for the assistance that they have poured down upon Lee County and our agency in particular. They have been a great partner. The Lee County Board of Education, we have taken over some of their sites, and they've been great to provide that resource to us. Providence Baptist Church, who is manning and supporting the shelter for individuals, they have really stepped up. The Red Cross is here working, and United Way. United Way has fed a lot of people. And I would like for you to ask people to support those organizations because they are really providing a valuable service. And I'm afraid I'm missing someone. If I have, I will catch them on the next conference. We can take questions now.
Clarify, I heard 7 to 8 still missing. Is it 7 or 8, or why 7 or 8?
Go to the please. Reason why we're not sure, we have kind of a mixed report on that number, but it is going to be either 7 or 8, and we're trying to narrow that down. Hopefully we'll have that addressed before the end of the day. Yes, ma'am.
If I think I understand you, it sounds like y'all are hopeful at this point that you found most of the victims, both living and dead, that you're continuing to search to make sure you didn't miss anyone. Is that a correct assessment?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Do you think that the number of victims will rise, deceased victims will rise much at this point?
We're not ruling that completely out, but we're hoping that of course, as we all are, that number stays static.
Sheriff, of the people who passed away, are you finding them in and around their property, or have they been moved a significant distance?
For the most part, I believe, and Coroner Harris can agree or add to that too, I believe most were found very close proximity to their residences. There were a few that were a little bit of a distance, but primarily the majority were found close to the residence of occupation at the time the storm came through.
Sheriff, have you made any arrests related to the storm for any reason?
No, sir. No arrests.
The family that lost 7 or 8 people inside the house, were they inside the house, or were they outside the property? Were they inside an interior room? Where were they?
We believe that every victim what was in the residence when the storm hit. They all ended up, with the exception of 2, all ended up outside the residence because the residents aren't there. They're not there.
So do you believe there was this a mobile home? Or
Some were mobile homes, some were
so the family,
structures.
the family that lost 7 people?
There was 2 different families that are related by marriage, but they were on the same road, 2 or 3 houses apart. But all the decedents, with the exception of 2, were found outside of the residences.
But in close proximity to the residence itself.
To the address where they lived.
Coroner, yesterday you mentioned that there were at least 4 victims that you guys were having trouble to identify. How were you guys able to identify them?
We identified them We were able to identify them. Unfortunately, we had to show some photographs to family members, and through some other photographs that they've supplied to us, and consensus with the investigators and myself and the team that did the examination of the bodies, we were able to positively identify them.
There are so many people offering to help right now. Individuals say they're collecting supplies, groups collecting supplies. We're hearing donation centers are full at this point. What's the best way for the public to help the victims right now?
Just pray for them. I know they're going to have some issues. There's going to be, I'm sure there's some families that, especially the family that lost 7, there's going to be some financial issues there. They've got 7 funerals that they're going to have to finance somehow. So I've already had some calls this morning, people willing to help, and I'll be taking those and I'll be directing those families to that assistance. I'm not going to publicly do it, but they'll be okay. It may just take a while.
We'll take one more question.
Are all the services here in Lee County?
I don't know. Like I said last night, we got the last body was released to a funeral home around 10 or 10:30. Now my process is to certify those deaths so they can proceed with the taking care of family affairs. Those deaths will be certified by the end of this week, and then they'll go from there, and then we'll assist them and direct them in any way that we can to help.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
I'll be around if you need
me. We will be in here for individual interviews. 10 o'clock in the morning.
Here's the list if anybody wants one.
You've been watching a replay of a news conference there in Lee County, Alabama, where sadly 23 people were killed by a tornado, the largest and strongest of the tornadoes, I believe, down there during an outbreak. The 23 dead, ranging in age from 6 to 93, and sadly at least 7 members of one family. You heard the National Weather Service talk about, I think he said it was a 70-mile track of this tornado that was at times as wide as a half mile. Devastating storm down there, and they are looking for ways to assist the families, especially that family that's going to have 7 family members to bury. They've identified all of the victims. One silver lining, it sounds like they have whittled away at the number of people missing there. I believe I heard the sheriff say 7 or 8 people missing. So our best for recovery to the community there in Beauregard, Alabama, in Lee County. I want to get you to, I see Sky Fox is up right now, headed to what we're told was a stabbing inside a bar. Let's get you a live look at what we have here. Looks like we're still trying to find the location, so I'll tell you a little bit of information while we do that. This was in the 25th District. Police are telling us on the 400 block of East Wyoming, inside a bar at 10:26 this morning. There was an argument with an unknown male. 26-year-old male victim was stabbed in the left shoulder, the left forearm, and the left hand. That victim was transported to Temple University Hospital by private auto and is listed in critical condition. Police are holding the scene, have not made any arrests, and are not reporting any the recovery of any weapon at this point. I'm watching Sky Fox try to find the location here. Get you out there once they do. Looks like they may be on scene here. Again, you're looking at a stabbing location in the 25th District, Police District. We're told this is the 400 block of East Wyoming. Man was stabbed inside the bar at 10:26 a.m. during an argument with an unknown male. That 26-year-old victim was stabbed in the left shoulder, the left forearm, and the left hand, transported to Temple University Hospital by a private auto, and is listed in critical condition. We're told police are holding the scene. They're not reporting an arrest or a recovery of a weapon. Of course, this is all very preliminary information. We'll continue to follow this during the course of the day, but again, a stabbing here in the Feltonville section of the city. A bar on the 400 block of East Wyoming. Looks like it's a bar restaurant there. Police continuing to investigate. And there's a little bit of breaking international news. Let me get you that before we go. Britain's counterterrorism police are investigating after 3 padded mailing bags with what appears to be a small explosive device were found in London. Police said smaller bags inside the mailers enclosed the devices that appear capable of igniting an initially small fire when opened. Officials say the Met Police Counterterrorism Command is treating the incidents as a linked series. This is according to reporting by the Associated Press. One mailer was found near Heathrow Airport. A building was evacuated as a precaution after the package was opened and part of it burned. Officials say the building is not at the airport and flights were not affected. There were no injuries. Another mailer turned up near City Airport, and the third in the mailroom at Waterloo Station. The package at the rail station was not opened. Again, thank you to the Associated Press for that reporting. We will bring you any developments there. Sounds like the packages weren't too threatening. If one of them did open, of course that's a little bit of supposition on my part, they did have to evacuate a building as a precaution. They do, but they, as I mentioned, one of the packages was open and part of it burned. But police investigating those 3 explosive devices in London. Let's get you a check of the weather. I don't think we've used this shot on News Now before, so I'll bring it to you. This is our Atlantic City camera. I believe this is looking north along the boardwalk there. You can see the Ocean Resort, Hard Rock, Bally's, some of the buildings in the foreground there. Your current conditions. Let's get you a shot of Philadelphia while we talk about conditions here in the city. This one, of course, is a familiar shot. This is from our studio at 4th and Market. Currently, we've warmed up to 30 degrees, not quite above the freezing point yet. Dew point is 3, and winds out of the west at 13 miles per hour, so some sustained winds in the teens right now. Take a look at some of the wider temperatures here. Again, 30 in the city. A couple locations have gotten above freezing. Toms River, Atlantic City, Dover. .33 in Ocean City, Maryland, 37 down in Charlottesville, but a lot of teens back to the north and west of our location. Here are your national temperatures. Billings has gotten above freezing now, up to 7. Again, here's our wind chill currently. Feels like 20 in the city. Feels like only 4 in Mount Pocono. That's because, as we mentioned, wind speeds in the teens here in the city. Single digits some other places, but we've got some gusts. Now we're seeing gusts up to 24 in Philadelphia. 21 in Atlantic City. You can see the camera bouncing around a little bit. We'll show you that shot again. A little bit of a bounce there. And as far as temperature change from this time yesterday, 6 degrees below where we were. Same time yesterday at the top of the hour. Our futurecast, again, looks like snow in the short run is going to miss us, but then as we work our way into Friday, there is a chance of some snow and precipitation. And that'll carry over into the overnight, and then it's out of here, and then it's rain for Sunday, it looks like. Monday we dry out, get some chance of some snow up to our north. Here's a wider look at the national futurecast into Wednesday. And here's your 7-day forecast from the Weather Authority. Tuesday, sunny and cold. Today, 32. We should get to the freezing point for a high. We're 2 degrees away right now. We're calling this a 6 on our forecast by the numbers. Tomorrow looks like a 5 because there's going to be a polar plunge, 27 for a high after an overnight low of just 18. The low early Thursday looks lower than that, 16, and another frigid start, but we'll get to 33. We could get back above freezing. Friday, we get that mix at night, 39. Saturday, sunny and milder, 46. We'll change the clocks, and then we'll have your St. Patrick's Day parade here on Fox 29. Rain chance Sunday, 53 degrees, sunny and nice, 51 on Monday. So some 50s there at the tail end of it. Of course, here is our weather app. You can download it. It's newly updated, much more user-friendly. You can get to all these features right from the scroll. It used to kind of take you right into the interactive radar, and you had to scroll around at the bottom of the menu, swipe over to try and see some of the other features. But you can get to the interactive radar, the 7-day forecast, the hourly forecast, which a lot of folks like, see what's coming up in the immediate future. School closings will appear right at the top when they happen. So will weather alerts, especially if you allow notifications based on your location. You'll get immediate severe weather alerts from the Fox 29, National Weather Service. We'll also send you occasional videos if we, the forecast about details and other information as we, as our weather team feels necessary. Another look at Atlantic City, New Jersey. One of the few points above freezing right now, or at least at freezing. Thank you very much for joining us today for Fox 29 News Now. We're with you weekdays at 10 a.m. after Good Day Philadelphia. Try and get you out to local and national breaking news stories and live events. We took you to Cheyney University today for a news conference about its future and some of the partnerships and plans that they have to potentially add more instruction and deals with Thomas Jefferson University, some hotel restaurant companies perhaps willing to do some manager level training and other just opportunities for apprenticeship and other types of educational opportunities for their student body there. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.